You're watching Cape Media News, brought to you by Cape Media Center.
Tonight on Cape Media News, Open Cape launches the Fix Cape Internet Challenge.
Plus, Cahoon Museum presents the Quilted Cahoon.
And local sports guy Ryan Downs recaps this week in sports. These stories and more are coming up next on Cape Media News. Good evening. It is June 28th, and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Lauren Williamson.
And I'm Mitch Sock. Our top story tonight takes us to downtown Hyannis, where local nonprofit internet provider Open Cape launched its Fix Cape Internet Challenge.
Thank you all for coming today. I'm Steve Johnston, Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director of Open Cape. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts is one of the most connected states in the country, but that doesn't mean that every resident or business has access to robust, reliable, and affordable internet connectivity. As we look forward to how our region might prosper, there are important and specific infrastructure goals we must meet. More than just a place to come on vacation, Cape Cod needs to be a place of innovation where climate tech and blue economy companies create jobs, where reliable telehealth makes healthcare available and accessible to all, where remote working and Zoom calls don't freeze, so the Cape can become your year-round residence no matter where you work, and where new affordable housing comes equipped with state-of-the-art connectivity that meets and exceeds the needs of all, today and for decades to come. The Commonwealth has received $147 million in BEAD infrastructure dollars. Just to refresh your memory, BEAD stands for Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment. And this money will be distributed based on data that determines who is unserved first, people that have below 25 megabits down and 3 up, then who is underserved, people that are below 100 megabits down and 20 up. Interestingly enough, this data is provided primarily by the large incumbent ISPs, and according to their data, Cape Cod is adequately served. As part of the BEAD challenge process, a coalition of organizations, businesses, municipalities, and community anchor institutions have come together to form a working group to share how we can fight to direct some of these funds to our region and challenge the data claims made by the large ISPs. Coalition members will be supporting our efforts to get the word out, to have residents and businesses take speed tests before July 20th to see which level of service they're getting for their payments. There's no cost to participate, and the data will be shared with our state broadband office, Mass Broadband. Businesses and residents alike should not have to struggle to work remotely, place calls, process credit cards, and stay consistently connected throughout the year. It is easy and simple, and Open Cape and our coalition members will be supporting those via email and phone if you need help or have questions on how to take a speed test or how to upload your supporting data, if indeed you are underserved. To show how easy it is to participate, we are going to take a speed test right now, thanks to our host, Amanda Converse from Love Live Local, who will address you right after we take the speed test. And as you can see, 94.6 down, 40.8 up. So technically, Amanda here at Love Live Local is underserved by the definition of the NTIA and FCC and Mass Broadband. So this is just one example of one retailer that is underserved. So I'm going to actually introduce you now to Amanda Converse. He's going to talk a little bit more to you.
So as Steve mentioned, I am the executive director of Love Live Local. We are a community and local business advocacy organization that also runs a retail store in downtown Hyannis. And I'm also a resident of Cape Cod, so I have a lot of skin in the game when it comes to our community being served by the internet, which is, in my mind, at this point, very much a public utility and should be treated as such. And we should be able to access the internet be served very well, but also our businesses do not have good enough service to run their businesses consistently throughout the year. At my retail store, we lose connection with the internet on a consistent basis. We can't run credit cards every so often, which is really very nerve-wracking when you are a small business owner. Every sale counts, every transaction counts, every customer interaction counts, and they are all very important. And in this day and age, we need to be able to have really good internet service in order to make all of those things happen. Also, our local businesses, whether they are retailers, restaurants, or working out of somebody's home, they all deserve to be served to their highest potential, and that is going to be much better for our local economy, our local economic development, and therefore our community. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Amanda. And now I'm going to introduce Steve Smith. Steve is the Executive Director of the Cape Cod Technology Council and a supporter of technology across the Cape and Islands.
Thanks, Steve. Good morning. The Cape has the highest internet prices in the state and the poorest service in the state, primarily because we have almost no competition. With the exception of Open Cape, there are no alternatives to the one incumbent. The $147 million that has been provided through Massachusetts by the federal government is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Let's take advantage of it and make sure the Cape gets the kind of service it deserves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you all for coming today. Again, the website address is fixcapeinternet.com. Go there, take a speed test, take 2, take 3. We need at least 3 to show what your service levels are. There's no cost, and we ask you to share this with your friends and family, co-workers, and we need to provide as much data as possible back to Mass Broadband. Thanks so much for coming.
Farmers Market coupons will be available next month for low-income individuals aged 60 or older. The coupons will be distributed beginning on July 8th on a first-come, first-served basis at the Elder Services Senior Nutrition Site, at the Barnstable Adult Community Center, the Chatham Council on Aging, the Dennis Council on Aging, the Harwich Community Center, and the Yarmouth Senior Center. You can head to escci.org for more information.
The 1736 Josiah Dennis Manse will open for the summer season tomorrow, June 29th. Visit the Manse Museum from 1 to 4 p.m. and be transported back to the 18th century as costumed historical experts guide you through the mid-1700s home. Highlights include displays of colonial clothing, medicinal tinctures, a refurbished schoolhouse, and the unique architectural quirks of a preserved colonial house. The 1736 Josiah Dennis Manse will be open on Thursdays and Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m. throughout the summer season, and admission is free.
Head to downtown Hyannis on the 4th of July to celebrate from 3 to 9 p.m., featuring musical stylings on the Village Green from the Cape Cod Ukulele Club, the Cape Cod Moonlighters Americana Band, and West African drumming by Sam Holmstock. The Yarmouth Minutemen will be there to set the scene, showcasing what colonial life might have been like in the early stages of our nation's development. And at 5 p.m., head to Bismore Park for the Hyannis Harbor Boat Parade. As a reminder, the 4th of July fireworks will be held on August 31st in order to protect federally preserved animals currently nesting on beaches. Happy 4th and stay safe, Cape Cod.
The Dennis Town Administrator and Police Chief have announced new restrictions for Dennis beaches for the 4th of July. No daily parking passes will be sold or accepted on July 4th for Mayflower Beach, Chapin Memorial Beach, and Bayview Beach. Only those who have residential, seasonal, or weekly parking stickers will be allowed entrance, and parking bans will be in full effect in the surrounding neighborhoods and businesses. Police Department data shows that over the past 3 July 4th holidays, there have been over 1,200 calls for service at Dennis beaches. These new regulations aim to curb the disturbances and keep everyone safe while celebrating the holiday.
Have you ever spotted a Cape Cod mermaid? Yarmouth Recreation and Yarmouth Town Library will be hosting a Mermaid Day tomorrow, June 29th, from 5 to 7 p.m. Don't miss the opportunity to get your picture taken with a mermaid at Parker's River Beach. Bring the whole family for kids' games, face painting, and glitter tattoos. Steel drum music, food trucks, and a chance to go inside the Whale and Dolphin Conservation's inflatable Whale Delilah. Coming up after the break, the quilted Cahoon and more. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Mitch Sock.
And I'm Lauren Williamson. Last week, the Cahoon Museum of American Art invited the public to meet artist Joe Cunningham to discuss his exhibit, Quilts for These Times. Joe created 10 large quilts between 2022 and 2024, with each quilt addressing a different current event. This series marked a turning point for the artist, but he didn't stop there. As part of the exhibit, Joe has quilted the exterior of the museum, which can be seen all summer long. We stopped by to learn more about this unique installation. Take a look.
I loved art from the time I can remember. It's all I cared about was art. And my high school teacher explained to me that I had no talent for art. I should just give up on that. When I ran into quilts when I was 26 and I started learning how to make them, it was not like art. It was not intimidating. A quilt, I had female relatives that made quilts, so how hard could it be, I thought. And or not so much that, but well, I could do that. And so what I did was to trick myself into making art by backing into it without having to, I didn't have the guts to call myself an artist, you know? And it was only 10 or 15 years later that I realized, well, actually, what you're doing is making art. So in 1979, I got involved with quilts by getting into a research project, and then I wanted to make my own. And I had a mentor at that time, a woman born in 1910, and she encouraged me to make quilts. And she wanted me to make them my own way as long as I made them exactly like hers. And so I learned the traditional techniques of quilt making under her mentorship. So for years, I copied old quilts, stitch for stitch, and imitated old quilt styles. And then at a certain point, I realized that what I wanted to do was to do what the women of the 19th century did, which was to make anything they wanted, any way they wanted to do it. And I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. The way I make a quilt is I think of, or I find a theme for my quilt, and I don't know what it's going to look like. And I pick fabrics that don't work together, that weren't designed to go together, and I start sewing them together and seeing how I can personify that theme. That's how I make quilts. I don't have a pattern or anything. It's all abstract. And so when Annie approached me, Annie Dean, the curator here, approached me about doing a show. Would you be interested in doing a show here? She was looking for a male quilter to put together a male quilters exhibit. And we talked, and she said, well, how about a solo show? And I said, okay, what would you do? And I said, well, I would pick a theme, but what I would do is I would do current events. From now, it was 2 years ago, from now until the show opens, I'll base each quilt on current events. So each one of these is based on something that happened in the last 2 years, and they all have names that reflect that. A couple years ago, in 2022, the federal government busted a beagle farm. They had beagles in little cages in terribly inhumane conditions and selling them to people to do scientific experiments with. After the bust, the federal government ended up with 4,000 beagles, and they had to find homes for them. And they did. They found homes for all 4,000 beagles. It's one of the coolest stories ever. So I decided to make a beagle quilt, and so I picked beagle colors. I just used numbers, because these beagles all had numbers. And so I just used numbers for a quilting design here. We came up with the idea of recycled spinnakers from sailboats, you know, the front billowy sail that's made of lightweight ripstop nylon. And I thought, okay, that's great. So Annie secured some spinnakers from Seabags, a Maine-based company, I think, that gets old sails and spinnakers and recycles them. And she sent a bunch of spinnakers they sent to me in San Francisco, where I live and have a studio. and I started cutting them up, and I realized that what I wanted to do was a traditional pattern. It's called rail fence. And I thought, it's a very geometric thing. But Annie said, the curator said, well, that's good, but we just really want to make sure that it looks like you and it looks like your work. So I started thinking of ways to interrupt this pattern and make it more abstract the way I do. So that's the result. What I do is I make quilts for a living. I make quilts to sell, and I'm trying to make art with these quilts. And so all of these quilts will someday be on some other walls. But to have them here at the Cahoon in this setting, curated like this, with the text panels and everything, the lighting, is a dream come true.
The Harwich Town Band Summer Concert Series begins Tuesday at 7 p.m. Every Tuesday until August 27th, join the Harwich Town Band at Brooks Park for a combination of show tunes, patriotic songs, and a variety of Americana melodies under the direction of Tom Jenke. The concert series is free and open to the public all summer long.
Join the Arts and Justice Collective for this year's 3-day Arts and Justice Festival. The festival begins tonight, the 28th, at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center with a Marsha P. Johnson roller disco. On Saturday, the 29th, from 6 to 8 p.m., check out the Black Voices and Runways fashion show highlighting local Black designers and performers at 529 Main Street in Hyannis. To conclude the weekend, check out the Amplify POC Festival on the Hyannis Village Green, starting at noon on Sunday, featuring an array of local BIPOC vendors, nonprofit organizations, face paint artists, and live music.
Last week, Snapchill LLC announced that they are voluntarily recalling all canned coffee products manufactured by the company due to potentially unsafe processing conditions that may lead to botulism. Products include several Cape Cod coffee flavors, including coconut, French vanilla, hazelnut, rainforest, and Scandi, and many other brands. Check on the back of your canned coffee products for the Snapchill LLC label underneath the nutrition facts. The FDA recommends either destroying recalled products or returning them directly to Snapchill or the place of purchase. For a full list of recalled Snapchill brands, visit fda.gov/safety.
It's hydrangea season on Cape Cod. The 10th Annual Hydrangea Festival kicks off next Friday, July 5th at Hyannis Country Garden. Stop by the party from 6 to 7:30 for some hydrangea-inspired gifts created by local artists. Garden tours will begin on the 6th and continue throughout the month of July. To find a hydrangea garden near you, please visit capecodchamber.org.
This week, Governor Healy sent members of her administration to the southern border to make connections with U.S. Customs and Border Protection, non-governmental organizations, and families to educate them about the lack of shelter availability in Massachusetts. Leading the team is Emergency Assistance Incident Command Director General Scott Rice. This effort comes as the Healy-Driscoll administration implements a new 9-month length of stay policy in emergency assistance shelters. General Scott Rice said, "This trip is an important opportunity to meet with families arriving in the U.S. It is essential that we get the word out that our shelters are full so that families can plan accordingly to make sure they have a safe place to go."
And lastly this evening, we send it to Ryan Downs with a recap of This Week in Sports.
Welcome back to the Cape Media News Sports segment. I'm your host and local sports guy, Ryan Downs. We're coming to the end of the second week of the Cape Cod Baseball League, and all teams have played 10 games so far, so it's a perfect time to see how each team is doing. In the East Division, we have YD on top with a record of 7-3 and a point differential of +7. Offensively, they are led by Easton Carmichael, their DH from the University of Oklahoma. He is currently top 5 in batting average and OPS and tied at 6th in RBIs. Defensively, their pitching has been great. They are tied to lead the league with 105 strikeouts. They have 4 pitchers with double-digit strikeouts and have a league-best .212 batting average against them. Pitcher Braden Osbalt from Kennesaw State University was named Week 1 Pitcher of the Week. In his first outing, he pitched 6 scoreless innings, allowing just 1 hit and racking up 8 strikeouts. Harwich is in second place in the East with a record of 6-4 and a point differential of +2. They're led offensively by Michael Anderson from University of Rhode Island, who was named Week 1 Player of the Week with 11 hits, including 2 separate games with 4 hits, a home run, and at least 4 RBIs. Chatham is in third in the East with a 5-5 record and point differential of +5. On defense, Chatham is led by their pitching, boasting a league-best 2.73 ERA as a team, while also allowing the fewest runs and earned runs. And bringing up the remaining spots on the East, we have Brewster at 4-6 in fourth and a point differential of -6. And in fifth place, we have Orleans with a record of 2-8 and point differential of -18. Moving on to the West, we have Wareham in first place with a league best 8-2 record. Although they only have a +2 point differential, they are one of the hottest teams right now as they have won their last 5 games in a row. They have done so by leading the league in batting average and OPS. Cotuit is in second place in the West and currently the hottest team as they have won their last 6 games in a row, led by the bats of infielders Jaron Avankula from UC Berkeley and Nolan Naraki from Clemson. They have a record of 7-3 and point differential of +18. Their bullpen is led by Merritt Beaker from Ball State University, who is currently 3-0 with an ERA of .79 through 11 innings pitched, allowing only 1 run and collecting 10 strikeouts. Offensively as a team, they rank first in home runs with 13. That's 4 more than the next closest team. Number 2 in OPS and 3 in batting average. Defensively, they are number 2 in batting average against and 3rd overall in team ERA. In third place in the West, we have Hyannis. They had the hottest start to their season, winning their first 4 games, but since then they have gone 1-4. They still have managed to retain the league's largest point differential at +20. Offensively, the Harbor Hawks have had the most runs scored at 60 and second highest team batting average. They are led by John Gazdar from Austin Peay University, who leads the league with 13 RBIs, is tied for second with the most hits, top 7 batting average, and top 11 OPS. The bullpen has also the league's second best team ERA at 3.62. And wrapping up in the West, we have Bourne in 4th place with a 4-6 record and -14 point differential, while Falmouth is in that 5th and final spot with a record of 2-8 and a point differential of -18. The College World Series also ended this past week with Tennessee becoming the first #1 seed to win it all since 1999. This season, 53 players spent time at the College World Series and are committed to making the journey to the Cape for the 2024 season. We should see all of them here before the end of next week. And that's it for this week's sports update. Back to you, Lauren and Mitch.
Thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story that you would like to see covered, go ahead and send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org.
And tune in every week for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV.
Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, including Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. For Cape Media News, I'm Lauren Williamson.
And I'm Mitch Sock.